Good day, everyone. Today we will discuss the demand and elasticity. Elasticity, it measures the responsiveness of quantity demanded to price changes. Marketers sometimes use elasticity to decide how to price their products or whether to add new products or product model. Now, in figure A on the left side, it shows that the graph is a flat demand curve. It indicates that the consumers respond sharply to a change in price. So the quantity they demanded falls by 2.5 units from 4 units to 1.5 units when the price rises to 20, example, 20 pesos. So it means that they demand or buy less of the product when the price, or they think that the price rises even a little bit. So the price sensitive curve is called elastic or highly elastic. Now on the figure B, on your right side, it shows that the graph is relatively steep demand curves, which means it indicates that the consumer respond hardly at all the price changes. So it shows that the price increase from 10 peso to 20 peso, the quantity demanded cuts by only 1 unit. So from 4 units to 3 units, it means that this demand is what we call the inelastic. Now, elasticity of demand is the ratio of the percentage change in quantity demanded to the percentage change in price that brings about the change in quantity demanded. So this precise measures use is called the price elasticity of demand, or simply that is the elasticity of demand. Now, for this one, we define the elasticity of demand as the ratio of the percentage changed in quantity demanded to the associated percentage change in price. So on the formula or the equation on the lower side, so as you can see, we have here the formula for the elasticity of the demand. So in this graph, it shows the sensitivity of or the sensitive slope to units of measurements, for example, pizza parlor. So as you can see, so let's try to take a look for this example. The quantity demanded in terms of pizza, or the price of pizza and the price, it fall in price from 14 pesos to 10 pesos per large pizza from point A to point B. So it raises the quantity demanded at pizza parlor from 280, for example, to 360 per week. Now, let's try to look for this elasticity of demand. Now, the quantity demanded before the change in price has occurred on quantity zero, which is 280, and the quantity demanded after the price change, quantity 1, which is 320. Now, the increase in number of pizza bought is 80 pizza. All right. Now, the purchase of the pizza before is 280, or would say quantity zero. The quantity sold after the price fall is 360, which is quantity 1. Now, the average of these two is 320. Now, 25% of the average of the sales before and after the pizza's change is 25. So as you can see here in our example. Now, on the elasticity of the demand in terms of price, as you can see, the change in price is expressed as a percentage of the average of the before and the after price. So it represents the elasticity at the price halfway before those two prices. So we can say that the price fall by 4, and from 14 peso, which is PO, to 10 peso, which is P1, and the price fall is 4. Now, the 33% is the percentage or the percent of the average of the 14, which is stand for PO, or and P10 or price 10 for P1, which is 12. Now, as you can see here, this is the elasticity of demand for pizza. So approximately, we have 0.76 elasticity of demand. Now, for the demand curve, we can say that the demand curve is elastic when a given percentage price change leads to a larger, or we can say leads to a larger or quantity demanded. So let's say a 10% rise in price reduce quantity demanded by more than 10%. So when the demand is elastic, the elasticity of demand is greater than 1. Now for the inelastic, we can see that the demand is inelastic when a given percentage price change leads to a smaller percentage change in quantity demanded. So let's say if the same 10% rise in price reduces quantity demanded by less than 10%, so the demand is inelastic when the elasticity of demand is less than 1, right? So we can say that the demand curve is perfectly elastic. It is called or sometimes called as infinitely elastic. So perfectly elastic, of course, when many producers sell exactly the same product and consumers are happy to switch easily to a cheaper seller if they think that any particular producer rises or increase the price of their products. So as you can see in this example, the shape of demand curve for the perfectly elastic demand curve example, there are several gas stations at a busy intersection with their prices posted for motorists to see. Now, if one gas station owner raises the price of the gas, but the competitor across the street keep the old price, so then the gas station that raises its price may lose all its customers or consumers through the other station. All right. Now we can say that the demand curve is perfectly inelastic when it shows the opposite side. So a completely vertical demand curve, the quantity demanded remains example 90 units. No matter what the price, the percentage change in quantity is always zero. And the elasticity is always zero. So in this case, the consumer purchase do not respond to all any changes in price. So one of the example of this is the consumption of the staple food of the Filipino, which is the rice. So in this example, we have the perfectly inelastic demand. Now, we can say that the demand curves has a straight line when it runs neither vertical nor horizontal. All right, so although the slope of a straight line demand curve remains constant throughout its length, its elasticity does not. All right, now the shapes of demand curve. So the quantity demanded falls by 2 units from 7 units to 5 units. The elasticity of demand between point A and point B, where the from price rises to 2 peso, let's say from 1 to 3 pesos. So as you can see, the elasticity of demand is 0.33. Okay, now the elasticity of demand between point A and point B, where the price still rises at 2 peso, but now from 4 to 6 peso, and the quantity demanded falls by 2 units from 4 units to 2 units. So as we can see, the elasticity of demand is 1.67. Okay, this one is an example of the straight line demand curve. Now, let's talk about the determinants of price elasticity of demand. So first, we have the nature of goods. So this is the necessities such as basic foodstuffs, normally have relatively inelastic demand curves. So meaning that the quantities consumers demand of these products respond very little to price change. So for example, people buy roughly the same quantity of rice, even though when the price of the rice rises. So in contrast, luxury goods such as eating in a fine dining restaurants may have um, elastic demand curve. Second is the availability of close substitutes. When the market offers close substitution or substitutes for a given product, its demand will be more elastic. So substitute is often critical determinants of elasticity. So the demand, for example, for the gasoline is inelastic because we cannot easily run a car without it. So, but the demand for any particular brand of gasoline is extremely is elastic. So, because other brands will work just as well. The third is the share of consumers' budget. So, the share of consumers' budget represented by the purchase of a particular item. So, it also affects its elasticity. So, a very expensive items that absorb a little of a consumer's budget tend to have inelastic demand curve. So many family, for example, will be forced to postpone buying a new car or will buy a used car or a second-hand or pre-owned car instead of a new one if the auto prices goes up by 10%. The next we have is the passage of time. So the time period is relevant because the demand for many products is more elastic in the long run than in short run. So for example, when the price of the home heating oil or rose between rise between 2012 and 2014, so some homeowners will switch um using the oil heat if you're living in a cold area or and to natural gas heat. Now, let's talk about the price elasticity of demand, its effect on total revenue and expenditures. Now, for the revenue is the money that it receives in exchange for the goods itself, and it is calculated by multiplying the quantity sold times the price at which the goods are sold. So, expenditure. So we can say that the consumer expenditure on goods is the money that they pay in exchange for the goods that they buy, and it is actually calculated by multiplying the quantity purchased times the price at which the goods are bought. So because every sales or sale must involve some customers purchase, a firm's revenue is actually equal to its customers expenditures. Now let's talk about the income elasticity of the demand. So it is actually the ratio if the percentage change in quantity demanded to the percentage change in demand. Now, for the complements, there are we can say that there are goods or two goods are called complements if an increase in the quantity consumed of one increase the quantity demanded of the other, and the other things remain constant. For the substitution, there are two goods are called substitutes if an increase in the quantity consumed of one cuts the quantity demanded for the other. So, and let's consider that all other things are constant. Now, for the cross elasticity of demand, for example, the product of X to change in the price of another product Y. So, in the ratio or in the notion of the percentage change in the quantity demanded of X to the percentage of Y that brings about the change in the quantity demanded. So for the last one, we have the optimal or optimal decision is one that best serves the objectives of decision or the decision maker, whatever those objectives may be. So it is selected by explicit or implicit comparison with a possibility or with a possible alternative choice. So the terms optimal connotes, meaning it connotes or emphasizes the neither or approval nor disapproval of the objective itself. All right, so thank you and see you on the next topic.